Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka nabi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Good morning, Instagram fam, friends and followers of as-Saafiy, and welcome to another episode of Revert Reflections. And as we said last week, we wanted to begin this week by mentioning some of the signs of Allah's existence. We spent a lot of time refuting those who deny, or refuting the concepts of those or the arguments of those who deny the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now we wanted to provide some of the signs, some of the things that we can look to as believers to further, to deepen and strengthen our conviction in Allah's existence. So we're going to, inshallah ta'ala, over the next coming days, we're going to mention some of the signs of Allah's existence, some of the signs, not an exhaustive list, but just give some of the signs that we can look to, as I said, to strengthen our conviction in Allah's existence. And one of those signs, perhaps one of the greatest signs of Allah's existence, is the Quran itself. And the Quran, brothers and sisters, it proves Allah's existence in many ways. One of those ways is the fact that the Quran has not been changed. The Quran remains unchanged. The Quran, as you know, brothers and sisters, was revealed 1400 plus years ago. And upon revealing it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to preserve it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, figuratively speaking, He threw down His gauntlet and He challenged mankind. And He made a promise to preserve the Quran, and that the Quran, unlike the previous revealed books and scriptures, would not be changed. The hands of interpolation would not reach the Quran. It would remain as is, unchanged, until the end of time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. He says, we have most certainly revealed the reminder, meaning the Quran, and we will most certainly preserve it. This comes from Surah Al-Hijr, the 15th chapter of the Quran, verse number 9. So now 1400 plus years have passed since that promise was made, since that challenge was issued. And to this day, it still stands. To this day, the Quran is as it was when it was first revealed to the Prophet ﷺ and first written into one volume by the companions, right? Compiled, I should say, not written, but compiled into one volume by the companions of Muhammad. It remains unchanged. The Quran, and one of the ways that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has achieved this preservation of the Quran, is that it has been memorized from cover to cover by millions of people in every generation, which is a miracle in and of itself. Think, brothers and sisters, is there a book on the face of the earth, no matter how short that book is, which has been memorized from cover to cover by millions of people? Okay, any book, it's not heard of. But think about the Quran, which is hundreds of pages long in its pure Arabic form, hundreds of pages long, has been memorized from cover to cover, not by one or two people, not by 10 people, not by hundreds of people, by millions of people in every generation. That is a miracle in and of itself. Now add to that not a single letter or phoneme, not just the letters themselves, but the phonemes, even the sounds that distinguish one letter from another, one word, when they're put together, one word from another, even those phonemes, the sounds themselves, have not been changed. Not a single letter or phoneme in the Quran, in that hundreds of pages of revelation, not even a single letter or phoneme has been changed over 1400 years. And whenever anyone inadvertently makes an error in one of those letters or phonemes, just mispronounces one single sound of the Quran, instantaneously it is corrected. It's not corrected by one or two people. Many of us have been in the masajid, listening to the imam in the ranks of the prayer, listening to the imam, and the imam will make a mistake, and not one person, but several people will correct that mistake. They will realize that a mistake has been made and correct it. And again, that's also miraculous. Now think about this. If somebody inadvertently makes one small mistake in terms of what? The sound of a letter. Not the letter itself, but the sound of the way they pronounce the letter. And many people will come and say, hey, that's wrong. They'll correct it instantaneously. how much more so would an intentional attempt to change the Quran be exposed? The only explanation, brothers and sisters, for this reality, the reality of the Quran being unchanged after 1400 plus years have passed, is that it's from God. Who else could issue such a challenge? Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. We have most certainly revealed the reminder, and we are going to preserve it, such that not a letter, not a phoneme will be changed. Who could issue such a challenge and make good on it? Who? Except what? Except Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa Azuma Sultanu. And this is the meaning of the statement of Allah in the Quran when He said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجْدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not ponder the Quran? If they're looking for a sign that God exists, that He is the Lord of the worlds and deserves to be worshipped alone, if they're looking for a sign, do they not ponder the Quran? If it had been from other than Allah, they would have found in it an abundance of variation, abundance of contradictions. It would have been changed. It would have been adulterated. The hands of interpolation would have reached it, but they haven't. Why? Because it is from Allah. More on this, brothers and sisters, in the coming days. Until then, brothers and sisters, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as always to bless your houses, to bless your spouses, to bless your sources of livelihood and income. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless your family and your children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and make you blessed wherever you may be, to bless what remains of your day. We ask Allah to shower you with His blessings and to surround you with His protection. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبي محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.